All right, welcome to Out of the Blue from the Block M Podcast Network, part of the Fan First Sports Network, the podcast that has been with you in peacetime and with you in wartime, and we are banging the drums of battle once more. I am Jared Stormer of the Block M Podcast Network and maizenbrew.com. With me, as always, is Andy Bailey, my hetero life mate. Andy Bailey, the Daniel Plainview of college football, not because he found oily, because he abandoned his child, he abandoned his boy in time of need. I'm out here trying to text him during this horrific Michigan-Ohio State game. Crickets. Thank God for Randy Sklar. I'm just mad. I'm not mad at you. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. You know, I got to go in the bunker for the game. Like, no phones, no anything. I did hit you up during halftime. You know, I had to check on you, make sure all is well. Yeah.
I wasn't.
I'm still not well, if it's any consolation. I may have been radio silent, but I was radio silent / in pain. But we push on, you know, win, lose, or shine. You know, we're going to be here the next day.
Yeah, to quote Matthew McConaughey in The Gentleman, the pain is being shared. It is shared amongst all of us today, and we're going to get through it. You know, I think we've often been accused of being an overly positive podcast. I think we're going to try and look at this as realistically as possible.
We're going to be shittier today, people. Lock in.
We're going to be, don't worry, we're going to be shitty for you. Is that what you want? You want us to be mad and angry? Fine. Let's be absolute horrifically down about everything. No, but we're going to try and look at this as realistically as possible. Where do we go from here? What went wrong? You've got your film study that came out today that I haven't gotten a chance to read yet, but I need some time to pass, but then I'll be looking forward to reading that one. I'm looking forward to no football this weekend, you know, maybe take a little bit of break. I'll be checking in, see what's going on with all the championship games, but maybe getting out, enjoying a Saturday, going to a pumpkin patch, going to, get a nice dinner. Pumpkin patch season is over, but whatever it is that stokes your fires, maybe a good Saturday to do that.
Yeah, some Christmas lights, maybe something of that nature. You know, we're in the season there, but yeah, definitely still going to be checking out some conference championship games, but it's just going to lack a little luster with no Michigan there.
It's tough. But look, I had a wonderful weekend, good Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you and Tony did as well. Got to see a lot of family in one place, probably more family in one place than I've seen in a decade. I leave for Spain next week with a lovely woman. I'm healthy. Beer exists. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay.
I mean, we're looking towards beer as naming our positives here. If we're naming beer and our health, you know, we're in dire straits right now.
Dire straits. We're healthy and we have beer.
But you're right, though. I mean, again, we have basketball and hockey to talk about. We have plenty on the docket for the rest of the year.
Absolutely. And let's touch the banner here. And this is some mild fun, some recruiting wins here. 2027 4-star edge, Ricardo Kitchen, number 2 player in Michigan from Muskegon, chose Michigan over Indiana, Notre Dame, A&M, committed over the weekend. He's 2027 class, so should be all name team, but that's the following year, helping that class move up a little bit. Nice size edge, and he's from Muskegon. So you like it when you can keep a guy in state, especially with the kitchen sink. That name's already built in. We love it.
And a little more, I guess, going to be on campus sooner than later is 4-star cornerback Jamarian Vincent flips from Baylor to Michigan, and 2 of our corners in this class were both originally Baylor commits and now are coming to Michigan. So I don't know what Sharon Moore has against Dave Aranda, but it's something.
There's a joke about bailing on Baylor. They are both Baylors. I don't have it in me. You can probably insert joke here. Yeah. I'm not in the mood, but excited to have him nonetheless. No, it'll be great. And 6'2" again. So just adding to the size of the defensive back room. And there's some studs coming in there. And as far as edge, the kitchen edge, I'm excited to kind of talk about what the future of the defensive line is. Let's touch on the coaching carousel really quick. It has been wild as anticipated. It's starting to settle down, and the music has stopped. A couple people don't have chairs. It's weird, man. Michigan State gets Pat Fitzgerald. Kind of a bummer. That was the guy that we're Pat Fitzgerald fans, and that was the one place we didn't want him to go. And he's back in conference. He is in a rivalry game, and that's an immediate adult in the room for them. Now, we kind of said that last year, but I have more faith in Fitzgerald than I did in Jonathan Smith.
Yeah, Jonathan Smith was like a 25-year-old adult in the room, and Pat Fitzgerald is like a 50-year-old adult in the room, steaks on the grill, everything's settled, knows his way, knows an HVAC guy, has connections all over town. That's what kind of adult Pat Fitzgerald is. I hate this hire because it's so good. That's the highest compliment I can pay. It is good.
He might be the HVAC
He
guy.
might
I think
be.
he could probably fix an HVAC setup for you, no problem. Yeah, it's a good hire, man. It's a good hire, and I don't know how high the ceiling is with him, but it's a high floor. It's a very high floor with Pat Fitzgerald. So I think he'll have him back to bowl games and relevancy sooner rather than later. We'll see. The shifting of college football, the landscape has changed since he was there. It's been a couple years. Maybe it takes some time to get his footing. We'll see what kind of patience Michigan State fans have, but I think that's a good hire as well. Other noteworthy hires: LSU moves on from Brian Kelly. Lane Kiffin does take that job, gives up a playoff run job to take a job where he hopefully can go win in the playoffs. It's a little weird, and just the timing of it. They've got to get this schedule
Yeah,
figured out
that's the thing.
because that's really stupid for everyone involved. I get why he would take it, but man, that's got to hurt to give up on a team on the verge of a playoff
Yeah,
run.
because he tried to stay on, kind of have your cake and eat it too, but the athletic department wanted to go a different direction and go ahead and get started on the new era, new regime. I understand both sides, but it really just boils down to the calendar. It sucks. It's bad for the sport. I mean, just imagine Dusty May leaving right before the NCAA tournament,
Yeah, I mean, we would probably burn him in effigy,
which
and Ole Miss fans were not
what's
happy.
funny is that I say that is in 1989, Michigan's head basketball coach was leaving to take, I believe it was the Arizona State job, and after the season, and Bo Schembechler was athletic director and told him to go ahead and screw, and then Fisher took over for the tournament run and won the championship.
Yeah, that's a little bit of history for our Monday. I enjoy
That's what I'm
that.
here for.
Thank you for that. I'll chew on that. That's lovely. Yeah, it is weird with the timing there. So they have an interim there, and it sounds like their defensive coordinator is likely going to be named
Golding,
their permanent head coach. Yeah, Golding. And that makes sense given the timing of it. I think you want to like get this team as bought in as you can. So you nominate him. You probably give him like a short
yeah.
runway to prove what he's got. But for now, you want to buy in, man. Like you've got as good a chance as anyone. There's no outright favorites in this thing this year. I think Ole Miss has as good a chance as anyone. Losing Kiffin probably hurts it a little bit. So we'll see how they do in the playoffs. Florida goes with John Summerall, the Tulane head coach, was initially announced he'd be at Auburn. Sounds like he'll be going to Florida. I think Florida is by far a better job than Auburn. I think it's a whole tier above that. So good for him. That's a good hire for
A
Florida.
lot of bureaucracy at Florida, though, and a very short
Hmm.
runway and very high expectations. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does. He's a culture guy. He's going to build it up. He's done wonderful things with Tulane. So I think Summerall's a great coach. I just wonder if he's going to have the space to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that there. It's kind of the same thing at Auburn, and they're
Similar.
getting Alex Golesh from Georgia Tech
USF,
or
South Florida.
USF, excuse me. Yeah, getting the
And
South
they're
Florida
probably
head
getting
coach
Byron
there. Got
Brown,
that
too.
backwards, which is very interesting. Byron Brown, the fantasy football MVP. That dude puts up numbers. So very interesting there. I kind of like the Oklahoma State hire just a
It's
smidge
your
more,
boy.
getting Eric Morris. That is my boy. And I think it's just an absolute fit with Oklahoma State, bringing in Mestamaker and Hawkins, that running back. I think they could turn around Oklahoma State really quickly. Obviously, James Franklin at Virginia Tech. We've touched on that one. So for the most part, the musical chairs has stopped, but Penn State does not have anyone in place yet. Hearing some rumors, it might be BYU coach Kalani Sitake, but that is not official yet.
No, and my boy Bob Chesney got hired at UCLA. Former James Madison coach, was at Holy Cross
That's right.
before that. This guy's an offensive savant, one of the best doing it, and he's moved up very slowly throughout. He's already 48 years old, but man, this guy can coach, knows his way around a program. So I think it's a great hire for UCLA. But again, with this kind of program, I wonder if they're going to have the resources.
Yeah, and in the Big Ten, are they able to keep Nico, who at times showed some
Yeah,
flashes? I was not a Nico
that is
guy
up and
coming
down.
into this season. Yeah, but he showed some stuff, and I think he could be interesting. I don't know if they'll be good, but yeah, so fascinating coaching carousel almost come to a halt. We'll see what Penn State does. That's a weird fit if it's Sataki from BYU. Obviously a good coach, but that does not feel like a hand in glove kind of fit to me, culturally at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's very strange. Sataki's been at BYU for a while now, at least 7 or 8 years. So it's interesting that this is the one that could pull him away. I thought Penn State might go with their interim, or they might look at Manny Diaz, who was used to be DC there. He's head coach at Duke, who has backdoored their way into the ACC championship game. So
Crazy.
maybe that's not dead yet either. Yeah, Sataki kind of caught me off guard, though.
Yep, yep, absolutely. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Let's talk some Michigan basketball. This'll help improve my mood. Number 3 in the AP poll. We talked about what happened in the Players Era tournament, just absolutely dog walking the competition. Yaxel Lendenborg, Big Ten Men's Basketball Player of the Week. He averaged 17, 7, 4, 2 steals, 1.5
Good
blocks
God.
per game, shooting 63% from the field, 44% from three, led Michigan in scoring in all 3 wins. This is what we were like, Tony. This is what we were hoping to see. And yeah, man, like the sky is the limit for this team. They're really starting to believe in themselves, and this is the best team talent wise that Michigan has assembled in quite some time.
The reports of our demise were greatly exaggerated. That's what they were. And what I love about this team is you hit on the talent, but it's the effort. This is the number one
Hmm.
defensive team in college basketball. When you can combine that buy in, that effort with the talent, that's how you win national championships.
I mean, they are probably the
They
favorite
are the
right
betting
now. I
favorite.
know they're not. They are the betting favorite to win it all, and those kind of expectations can be a little bit dangerous and can mess with your head a little bit. And now it's basically natty or bust. But I just think if this team gets rolling in the tournament, no one's going to want to see them. They have answers for anybody. They can match up against anyone, and their second line's as good as a lot of first lines. You know, their bench is extremely strong. You've got size up and down it. You've got shooting up and down it. Trey McKinney's going to play in the NBA. His shot looks
Yeah.
awesome. Like it's still a little streaky, but it looks good. So yeah, man, they're a ton of fun to watch. I don't think they play again for a minute. We've got some time
Yeah.
off here, and I think it's Saturday is the next game. But every time they play, it's going to be must watch television, and the expectations are there now too. So let's see how they handle that. Let's see how they handle being the favorites as they now
Yeah.
are.
Handle the rat poison, if you will. That's what they have to battle now.
Absolutely, man. Speaking of wagons, soothe me with talk of hockey.
Oh, man. What a weekend. Michigan again remains number one after sweeping Harvard, moves to 15-3 on the season, only 3 wins off last season's total for the year. The boys have a huge showdown this week with number 3 Michigan State in the last series before the winter break. But despite the break, 4 Wolverines are going to stay busy. 1 year after having 0 representatives from the Michigan team, Asher Barnett, Cole McKinney, Dakota Rayo Mullen, and Will Horkoff are the nation's leading scorer. Will Horkoff are all going to be representing Team USA at World Juniors for that tournament. So things are coming up all rosy. Teams on a 4-game heater right now. No matter what is, I mean, as long as they can get the at least like split with Michigan State, they should go into the break number one. But if they sweep Michigan State, I'm going to be
Oof.
outlandish on this podcast for the month of December.
Please do. We relish it. We welcome it. Yeah, that's fun getting those guys in the juniors there. How long is that? Is that just like a couple game
It's a couple.
series?
It's like it
What's
basically
the
lasts like 2 weeks. It's like it's the
okay?
reason why college hockey has the winter break. Why you basically don't play
Hmm.
games from all of December into like the first week of January is because of the World Juniors tournament.
Nice. Well, we're gonna need it. I will take every wagon. We call them the auxiliary wagons. As when Michigan football is not a wagon, we need these auxiliary wagons now more than ever. We've got another one. Women's basketball looking like a force.
Number 6 in the country. Again, I don't think they're going to lose again for a long time. When you look at the schedule, they don't play a ranked opponent as it stands right now until January 19th.
My God.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. So honestly, they could rail off 10 games here. It wouldn't be surprising. They beat the holy hell out of Detroit Mercy last week, nearly doubled them up in points, 102-53. Ever since that close loss to UConn, man, they have been rolling.
I love it, man. And yeah, just don't drink the rat poison.
Mhm.
Don't buy into your own stuff and keep improving. It's still a young team. So sky's the limit there. So everything outside of Michigan football right now, I don't really need to sell it. It is
It's
good.
great.
Like I don't need to like put on the maize tint to this. Like things are legitimately good in the auxiliary wagons. So keep it up, and that'll keep me from wading into a pond with a toaster.
And also, I should mention Will Horkoff, one of the favorites to win the Hobie Baker this year now.
Ah, joyous news. Who else is up there? Is he like the
So
favorite?
you're going to be up there with Minnesota Duluth has an elite front line. Trey Augustine, the goalie from Michigan State's another one. So I think those are the guys you really got to look at. But I mean, Will Horkoff is not just averaging a point per game right now. He's averaging a goal per game. He has 18 goals in 18 games. He's just an elite goal scorer. And this is still only
That'll
like
do.
he's technically a sophomore, but he only joined the team last year in the second half of the season in January. So like he's still kind of in his freshman class campaign, still young, still getting his bearings about him, but has just been an absolute force for this team.
Love this. Still getting his skates underneath him, as they
Mhm.
say. So the best is yet to come. I think we got to do it, brother. I think unless you want to like rank your favorite movie pilots. What do you got? Maverick, Han Solo, Iceman? What do you think?
I still count Harrison Ford in Air Force One. I mean, just because he went to Michigan, not really a pilot, but the president, he fights on a plane. It's close enough.
Captain Stephen Hiller, Independence
Oh,
Day,
that's
the
a great one.
president from
That's a great
Independence
one.
Day.
Yeah.
Couple good ones in there. Yeah, I think you got to take Han Solo, like first overall draft pick. But then after that, it's up for debate. Like, is it Maverick? Maverick's not a team player.
Oh,
Like Iceman,
Winston from The Mummy.
drunk ass Winston. Tremendous choice. That's number 2 draft pick.
The
I love it. Now we got to talk about Ohio State's first win in the game in 4 years, 2,191 days. And they did it. And their fans will certainly let you know about it. I'm not out here texting Ohio State fans when we win 4 years in a row, but Lord knows they come after me. I post a picture of me in a Michigan gear, and they just got to let you know in Michigan gear. They got to let you know about it because that's who they are. And you know what? Congratulations, 27-9 in this one. And didn't really feel like outside of the first 7 minutes of this game, like Michigan was really ever in it. Definitely have some problems with play calling and overall energy and the want to. But then again, there was also a lot of injuries in this one. Michigan probably at a talent disadvantage. And we learned a lot about Michigan in this one and what needs to be fixed moving forward. How far away are we from being competitive on the national championship level? Michigan finishes the season 9-3, regular season 9-3. They will get a pretty prestigious bowl game, I would imagine. But this was a tough way to end it, brother. It did not feel good.
No, and I think it's fair to say now we are the worst good team in college football. Like we're kind of like the gatekeepers to success. We can beat all the bad teams, maybe not by much,
Mm-hmm.
but we can handle all of them. But anytime we have to fight somebody in our weight class or slightly above, this team just got pummeled.
They did, man. And we'll talk big picture. I don't know if that's necessarily a conversation for this podcast. We got a whole off season to do our evaluations. Those evaluations have already begun. I've got position group grades that I'm working my way through, individual grades that I'm working my way through. I know we've kind of tossed some ideas back off one another. I think that'll probably be next Monday. We can do position groups and individual grades. Coaching staff is going to take a little bit longer to evaluate that because you're not only evaluating things like play calling, you're evaluating big picture. Did this team get up for it? Did they meet the moment? Why were they only able to beat teams lesser than them? Why can't they rise to that moment? Like there's a lot to break down there. But let's keep the main thing in this game. And look, Jordan Marshall goes out in this one pretty early on. He was on pace for like 280
Good
yards.
start.
Okay, Jordan Marshall was on pace to have one of the best games in the rivalry that we've ever seen. Opens it up with a 30-yarder. They're getting him involved in the passing game. He's hitting the hole, decisive. And then he walks out with his arm just hanging down, and you kind of know it's over. And the game completely shifts from there. You have the Jair Hill pick early on, not able to capitalize that. That felt like momentum was killed. But then after that, there wasn't a lot of hooting and hollering in my house with all the Michigan fans in there. It kind of felt like the energy died.
This team was grossly unprepared for the moment.
Mhm.
Like it kind of harkened back to the Oklahoma game early on in the year when the offense was run like it was 2023 and we're just going to pound them into submission. And they just wanted Bryce to be a game manager, but they felt like they took that a step too far in this one. If like Underwood played like he was threatened with castration if he made a mistake in this game. And they just you can't hand a teenager the keys to the car and threaten to put him in jail if he goes a mile an hour over the speed limit. Like he has to be a factor. Like even Cade McNamara, for God's sakes, had to open it up in the game, like in 2021. Like you just cannot take that away. And this offense should have run like it did against Maryland. Like when we talk about running the damn ball, we mean like that. Like how they got Bryson Cusdaw going downhill and had success. Not like it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's not the same team. It's not the same offense. And it just felt like when Sharon Moore's up against it, he reverts back to that despite having a different team, a different scheme, and different players.
Yeah, and this one, Bryce Underwood averaged 3.5 yards a completion. Bryson Cusdall averaged 3.5 yards a run. Jordan Marshall, 8.7 yards per carry. Like once he went out, they had nothing. Like there was no creativity. It was like someone just came up and hit Sharon Moore over the back of the head with a 2x4, and he was just in a daze. And it was not very creative. It was not a great response. There was not that adjustment at halftime that we were all hoping for. Like, hey, this isn't working, you need to make this halftime adjustment. Bryce Underwood with only 18 attempts in this one, you hit the nail on the head. So afraid to make mistakes. The checkdowns, some of them, like that check down on 3rd and 18 is going to haunt me in my
So
nightmares.
bad.
What's the point? What are we doing? Like, we just don't want to win. We don't want to try. Like, all right, so you're just going to check it down and then punt, wave the white flag. Then I was just not enjoying it. And you only get 3 opportunities if we're assuming he's going pro after 3, and you go 8 of 18 for 63 yards and an interception with a 48.8 QBR in your first one. That's not the stuff legends are made of. Sorry. That is as forgettable of a first performance as you're going to find. We have not had kid gloves on with Bryce Underwood in this one. A lot of it is on Bryce. A lot of it is on the coaching staff. They're taking equal blames for me.
Yeah, I mean, all season long, we have defended Sharon Moore and the youth of this team, but the foundation of our support was contingent upon the game. I mean, Sharon had earned
Yes.
the right based upon last season's performance in Columbus. And after the momentum built in College Park last weekend, this team appeared to be on a similar trajectory. But I just felt like our faith was betrayed on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I mean the way you said it was betrayal, and it does feel like a
It
betrayal.
does.
And we were willing to put away the microscope last year because of the way we finished. I was like, you know what, you earned
Yeah,
it, and I stand
I
by
do.
that. I stand by that decision. And now that microscope, it's been pulled out, it's been dusted off. I've replaced the lens. I'm staring straight through it at Sharon Moore and this coaching staff. You lose that latitude when you put up 9 points in the game, when you get absolutely dog walked, when you don't look competitive, when you don't look like you want to win. Like this team didn't look like they wanted to be there. They were resting on their laurels. Just the defeatist attitude. Jayshon Barham headbutting refs up,
Gross.
somehow not getting ejected for that. It was gross, man. So yeah, that microscope is out. The latitude is gone. Next year has to be a better season, or else Michigan fans were already calling for his job. If it goes south next year, you're gonna have pitchforks out in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, and like the thing to remind ourselves is this team still has a chance for 10 wins. That means a lot.
Yep.
That's important, especially with this youth on the team. However, what like it's always going to haunt me is that week 12, 2024 with Davis Warren compared to week 12 with Bryce Underwood and this team. I think 2024 blows them off the field. And like that
Why doesn't the young team have an ascension
that's the
trajectory?
thing. That's what worries me about it. It's like, okay, that team got better. I mean, Davis Warren had, I believe, one less passing yard than Bryce Underwood did in the comparison. And you see the talent, you
Yeah.
see the offense and all that. That's what worries me about like, are we doing more with less? Or should I just be excited because he's doing so much with such a young team? Like I could see both sides of that argument being right, and we're really not going to know for sure until next season.
Yeah, well, it makes me feel better that Bryce Underwood made about $1.5 million per completion based on how much money he's making. So that's sweet. In a moment of, I admit it, like it was not my finest moment doing the reaction pod right after this. I was saying, like, if he comes out next year and has a similar game or just doesn't take a leap, why wouldn't you let him transfer and then bring in some defensive tackles for that amount of money? It is quite an investment, and we did not get that return on investment. That's what you get with a true
Yeah,
freshman, though. But next year becomes massive for him.
it is.
Massive for him because you lose some of that latitude, you lose some of that excuse built in of being a true freshman. It's got to get better next year. It was not good enough today. Yeah, man. And just like what's going to bum me out about this one years down the road is we had arguably the best running back room in the country, and it ended up being Bryson Cusdall. All due respect, I really like
Yeah.
him. He's a 2-star, like no NIL deal, not supposed to be in this position. And it looked like they didn't really know what to do once there was no Haynes, no Marshall. They were just like, well, I guess we're just going to lose this then.
Honestly, Cusdo, I thought played really well in this game, all things considered. I was more upset with the offensive line. Like there was nowhere to run.
Hmm.
They just got bully balled around. They didn't know how to handle the odd front. Caden McDonald did whatever he wanted with Greg Crippen at any time. The holes were limited. They ran some cool plays. They ran power out of the offset eye that broke Cusdall later in the game. Early in the game, one of the ones that broke Jordan Marshall was a super power or a super counter. They had 3 pullers. That was pretty sick. But overall, the offensive line never gave him a chance. Like, Cusdall's a hard running, smart back. He's patient. We saw that against Maryland. But like, our offensive line just got pushed around in a way we have not seen since 2021 Georgia game, when there was nothing to do with that NFL talent across the field. And that's what you and I talked about most of the year with Greg Crippen at center. Like, how do you not bring somebody in to compete with this? Like, this can't be the best one we have because we know there's a visible ceiling. And they pressed right up against it. The young guys struggled, like with three freshmen or redshirt freshmen on the offensive line. Knew that was going to be an issue, and they just got bullied, man. They got bullied up and down that line. Even like the tight ends were struggling to hold blocks. Like, it was just Ohio State physically imposed their will, and you could feel 4 years of frustration in that performance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, it was chippy all
Yeah,
game long. And sometimes it was our guys initiating it. Sometimes it was Jayshawn Barham headbutting a ref in the head. Stupid. I'm just not a Jayshawn Barham fan. He's all finesse, no power, no physicality. And that's how you show your passion. Not my guy. Like, just I'm out. I digress. We're not even talking about the defense. It's just
I wasn't going
stupid
to
to
cut you
think
off.
about
You were just
there.
going.
Sometimes I don't want to go on a rant here, but sometimes you have to. Yeah, the offensive line got absolutely dog walked, man. Offensive line got dog walked. If you want to look for a place where we really just missed, though, Andrew Marsh got open. Andrew Marsh was open for a touchdown in this one. Andrew Marsh was open for a big first down conversion that probably would have led to points coming out of the half that I think you mentioned in your film study.
No.
Andrew Marsh was open
Our
against
receivers
this
played
secondary.
well. McCulley played well. That catch
Yeah,
he had down the seam
McCauley
was
played
great.
well. Yeah, and we just didn't give them an opportunity, and the entire second half, it's a terrible watch. Like, I do not wanna go rewatch this game. I have to because that's the name of the job, but it was not fun to rewatch because not only was Underwood not seeing it, the play callers weren't dialing it up. There was no urgency on the sidelines, like, "Hey, we're not ready to lose this game." Like, I'm not ready to lose this game. It still hung in the balance coming out of the
Yep.
half. Michigan is down, but it was not over until they took the field, and it was like, it is over because you don't have the want to. You don't want to win this one. Got it.
You mean you don't want to rewatch that 11-minute drive in the middle of the game?
No, I do not.
It's a good transition to the defense, which, speaking of dog walk on the offensive line, this defensive line performance, I mean, the first one that came to my mind was Kenneth Walker, Michigan State 2021, just getting run over like that. But that wasn't an offensive line pushing people around. That was more Kenneth Walker just being special in that game.
Mhm.
You have to go back to 2019, really. Jonathan Taylor game, Wisconsin, when they just ran over us, bulldozed us off the line. I don't count 2020, no fans in the stands, whatever. The 2019 Jonathan Taylor game is what I went back to. I mean, we have not been pushed around like that on the defensive line in that long. I mean, it was embarrassing at times, like during
Yeah.
that drive. Like we all off season we talked about interior defensive tackle room is loaded. We had a Trey Williams, Damon Payne, all this talent. They got shoved around. They got pushed around. I mean, it just plays at a time. They went full Michigan on us. Like, I respect the poeticism with that. Like, I mean, they just pushed us around, did what they want. No one on the defensive line could do anything. There's a clip that's gone viral of Derek Moore getting thrown to the ground by a backup tight
Ugh.
end. It was just an embarrassing performance in the trenches. And as we said in the pregame, as we say every year, whatever team wins the trenches wins the game. And once again, that held true.
I have a lot of thoughts about this defensive line, so much so they're probably going to spill over into a whole nother freaking podcast episode. Because you need to rebuild this defensive line basically from scratch. So not only was it not good enough against Ohio State, you're losing everybody.
Yeah.
So there are no answers in house. You've got to go find the answers. You got to do some soul searching. You might be losing Wink Martindale and your entire defensive line, and this entire defensive line wasn't good enough. Time to start from scratch. They run for 186 yards. Bo Jackson looks like the Bo Jackson in this one. We're absolutely getting gashed. I had been wondering all season, and we had talked about it on this podcast. I don't know if we officially said it, but like, is this defensive line good? But late in the season, we were still kind of questioning it. So that probably tells you, like, I was waiting to see how do they perform against Ohio State to say for sure one way or another, like, okay, well, Derek Moore's good and Benny is serviceable and TJ Guys, that's good depth piece. This defensive line was not good enough.
No.
They were good enough against lesser opponents. Against better opponents, they got pushed around. They weren't physical enough. Derek Moore is I mean, he can absolutely feast against lesser competition of Maryland and Purdue and stuff, but you get him up against the big boys, he disappears. So I have a lot of thoughts about the defensive line, and it is so much of what our identity was, and it's a misidentification of talent. It is guys not stepping up. It is going to be on the coaching staff to really hit the transfer portal. I mean, they have got to hit it hard. If you want to look for a good silver lining for us being out of the playoffs, is we can get a jump on the defensive line and the transfer portal, because we probably need three guys. Like, we probably need three guys, and two of them need to be good starters. You're relying on Nate Marshall. Are you hoping Carter Meadows can come in and play right away? Because I don't see any stars. I don't see any first round draft picks. Forget on the defensive line anywhere. And Michigan has been putting in defensive linemen into the NFL draft consistently. That is not this defensive line.
No, it's going to be interesting to see what they do because, like you talked about, Nate Marshall's coming back. Dom Nichols was out of this game, didn't play, didn't dress. So, I mean, he'll be back. Cam Brand will be back. But it's like these guys have got to take a step up. And that kind of leads me to this. Are we sure Lou Esposito is the guy in the defensive line room?
We are not.
Because
We are not sure of
he
that.
was, I mean, had success last year, but you have Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. Most people also often forget Josiah Stewart was there too. And all three of them were game wreckers. And you lose them, and I didn't see any improvement in this one. They don't know how to run twists or stunts. They look very clunky playing any games up front. I just didn't see the improvement, man. Like you talked about, Derek Moore looks good against the lesser opponents, and that's kind of like a microcosm of the entire team. Like Sharon Moore is going to have a hard enough time fighting off the James Franklin allegations because right now he is 15-1 as a favorite at Michigan and 2-7 as an underdog. He's beating all the middleweights and below, but he can't mess with the heavyweights.
Pretty telling. It is pretty telling, and that's not going to cut it next year because, like we said, the microscope is out. Yeah, all valid points there. And from an individual perspective, Rayshon Benny did not get better. He might have got worse.
I think he
definitely got worse than what we saw from Alabama. 100%. I can tell you that. Against Alabama, he was awesome. Against Ohio State, he was really
good. He and Trey Pierce both got worse from the Alabama game.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're heading in the wrong direction with your defensive line. Ernest Hausman doesn't play in this one. I don't know why, but someone pretty reliable was telling me that he could have played. He was a healthy scratch, and he's just not going to be involved with the team anymore. And I don't know. I'm not reporting that, but it very well could be the case. It could be the case. And if that's so, he's like, just goes from being a personal fan favorite to somebody I really don't want to hear from again.
It's one of the weirdest things I can ever remember covering a Michigan team, the Ernest Hausman situation. And until we get all of the facts laid out, maybe we never will, but like we'll touch on that some more in depth when we know them. But going to the linebackers, that's a nice transition. Cole Sullivan and Jimmy Roller looked a little bit over their heads today. Like it looked like they just kind of hit their head on the ceiling. Cole Sullivan looked like a true sophomore out there. He was lost running around. I thought in coverage they were actually pretty good, which is where we thought we needed them. But against the run, it was just out of position, getting sealed off, not shedding blocks, like just reverting back to all those lack of fundamentals that we've been seeing for most of the year. Like, I mean, granted, the tackling was pretty good, all things considered, so that was cleaned up. But everything in the run game was a little disastrous. Like they didn't know whether to spill or contain. On Bo Jackson's long run on the outside, TJ Metcalf comes up and immediately plays the wrong gap. Like he has to be outside on that play. And he just gave up contain and let him get down the sideline. Like that's stuff we've been seeing all season. The fact that that's not getting corrected, like from coordinator down to position coaches, that's an issue.
Yeah, Jimmy Rolder chases Bo Jackson outside, and he has him one-on-one and just gets shooketh.
He was fine, though. He was inside. That's where he's supposed to be. He's allowed to get shooketh if he goes outside, but TJ Metcalf cannot come inside. Like, he has to be outside for when Jimmy Rolder gets shooketh to make the play.
Well, shooketh he was, for sure. And, and for all the times Michigan has been the bully in this, particularly on defense and on the offensive line, which you already touched on, we were the ones being bullied in this one, like a lack of physicality and just like the inability to impose your will. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The linebackers looked overmatched. We already mentioned Jayshawn Barham headbutting an official. Can't believe he didn't get ejected for that. That is so dumb. Kick rocks. I'm done with it. He's just more of a finesse player. He's a one-trick pony. He can rush the quarterback, but then outside of that, what does Jayshawn Barham give you? Not really my style. I like versatile, physical players.
He's like Costco Josh
He is
Uche.
not that. Yeah, he is. He's a lesser Josh Uche. Josh Uche you could rely
Mhm.
upon for his pass rush, and Jayshon Barham has been quiet. Like outside of the Maryland game, there's like 5 games where he just doesn't show up. And sounds like I'm talking some smack on him, but I just headbutting an official, and we are so lucky that he didn't get kicked out and like already down some linebackers. If you're looking for a positive, a nice 4th down stand early on after the headbutt
5
where we
plays
were able
inside the
to
5.
5 plays, yeah, where we were able to hold him there, and then they bail us out with a false start, and they end up kicking it. But yeah, there wasn't a lot to hang your hat on. I do think if you're going to hang your hat on anything, I think our secondary did all right, all things considered. I
Yes.
know you're going to look at the numbers and say they threw for 233 in the snow, but Jair Hill gets the big pick, and you really think it's going to be a momentum shift early on. And then they're matching up Zeke Berry and Jair Hill one-on-one against these NFL receivers, and they're mostly holding their own outside of a play here or
Yeah,
there.
it was I mean, there's a lot of cover too. So they had help in the back end, but once Mason Curtis went out, there's a big gap back there
Ugh.
because Rod Moore's already down. They lose Mason Curtis. Now you're on third string Jaden Mangum. He wears 3 for a reason. And it was bad. Mangum was rough in this one. He's the one that gave
Not
he was the
good.
one that gave up the big touchdown later in the game to Carnell Tate. That's his responsibility, nobody else's. Should have been there, and they were smart to go after him. But to the positives, I was really encouraged early on. First play of the game, Zeke Berry one-on-one, beautiful pass breakup with Carnell Tate.
Oh, yeah.
And then right to Jair Hill for the interception. And they don't try Jair the rest of the game. Like that was noticeable. That jumped out. Brandon Hillman played really well in this game. Filled exceptionally well in some run plays. I mean, obviously there's things to pick apart, but in pass coverage, I thought he was very good. But again, like you make one mistake and it opens things up. But I give this secondary so much grace because, brother, when I say there wasn't a pass rush, it's like our defensive
Oh,
line became
wow.
pass rush atheists in this game. They did not believe in it. They would have been better. We would have been better off dropping them all into coverage and not rushing the passer. Like you can't ask this secondary to hold up against NFL caliber wide receivers for 6-7 seconds per play. That's just impossible to do. It's an exercise in futility without a pass rush up front.
Yeah, you could have put me out there with a pack of Pall Malls and a bottle of wild turkey, and I could have just politely asked their left tackle to move, and I think it would have been more effective. Like, bro, can you get out of the way? I'm trying to get in there. Like, I need to get some pressure in
Yeah.
there. Probably would have been as effective as our pass rush. It's why I had it highlighted. I have it bolded. I have it circled. We're going to talk about it all off season. It's too much to discuss in one pod. What the hell happened to the defensive line? Even when we were getting beat, by in the Jim Harbaugh era. And I think our defensive line was still full of studs that looked like they belonged. Nobody looked like they belonged in this. Like none of those guys looked like they belonged in the game. It looked like it may as well have been the Maryland defensive line out there.
It's I'll give them a little bit of grace to that because I mean, it was still 27
The
points.
Northwestern
It
defensive line.
wasn't 62 or 56 like it was in 2018 and 2019. So like the defense did more than that. Like gave this offense a chance in the second half to get the ball and do something with it and then we're just completely abandoned. So it's like one hand kind of feeds the other in this instance, but to the push around, that's the thing. Like Sharon Moore looked so confident pregame. I was just drinking it in. I'm like, we're about to run the ball
Yeah.
so smoothly. We're about to just pound them in the snow. It's gonna be great. But you said it best, man. We got bullied on the field. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
it was a big testament to Ryan Day and this team getting him ready and locked in for had no player on that roster that had beaten Michigan, but they came in like the national champions that they are and just pushed us around.
Jordan Marshall had 8 more yards than Bryce Underwood, and he played the first 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and dude, shout out to him.
That's
He
insane.
came back in the game, obviously, but
He
it
tried to
tried to
give it a
go.
go.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jordan. None of this is on Jordan Marshall. Like he was an
No.
absolute warrior in this game. When he came back out there, then they reported from the sideline that he was like Sherrod Moore told him he's not playing in the second half, and then he gets back on the field. Like, shout out to him. Like, put the C on his jersey next year. Do whatever you have to do because
Oh,
if you
100%.
want to start talking some positives, it starts in the running back room.
100%. And we could bring back Justice Haynes, but even if we don't, it's Marshall Hyder.
Cusdall.
Cusdall can
Yeah.
come back. Yeah. Like there's guys. We'll see what Parker ends up doing. He was injured in this one. But the injuries, man, like we're not going to make excuses. We've won with dire straits before, but this team did not have the depth to deal with the loss of Justice Haynes, Jordan Marshall, Ernest Hausman, Mason Curtis,
Rod Moore.
Noah missing guys. Rod Moore has not played at all this season. Like we weren't built for that. And Ohio State was fully healthy. Tate and Smith both played and looked like they were full goes in this one. So yeah, they had their entire complement of guys, and we were down, particularly in the running back room, is where you felt it. And we're just not that team, and they need to look in the mirror about like, hey, all right, so didn't go well with the injury front next year. How do we anticipate that? How do we build more depth? How can we kind of overcome the losses if, once again, we have a nightmare injury season? So it's just part of the bigger picture here with the evaluation of this coaching staff and how they respond from this, because they didn't respond at the half. I was not impressed with their halftime response whatsoever in this game.
I was encouraged by the defensive one to start out, getting the punt, getting the ball back.
Got to
Because I
stop.
thought that was going, I was like, if they score on this drive, the game is over. And they at least gave the offense a chance. And like for that second, you're like, hey, we score here. It's a completely new game. Everything's on the table. But then the offense went flat.
Check down Charlie.
The offense went flat and the defense followed suit. It was like all the air left the team. Like they came out in the third quarter with some energy on the sidelines, but after that offensive possession, it was gone. And if you want to talk positives now, we want to move on and have we flushed all this behind us, or do you want to got any more you need to air?
I don't. No, I think I've aired the grievances here for the most part, and there are some positives to be had, but it's a lot of youth. It is a lot of youth, and like we need to see that youth take positive steps forward. So finishing out the season without that is going to make it hard for me to be like, yeah, all these guys will take the required leap next year. But let's do it. Let's try and get positive.
So positive one in this game is special teams was not bad, and Dom Zavada was a star in this game.
All 9 points.
3 for 3. We needed every one of them in this one to avoid embarrassment. Downside, I hope it's not enough to keep JB Brown employed. I'm a little worried about that.
Can't be.
I hope not, but the youth, man, this team is so young, and this recruiting class coming in is stacked. And it's like, if you're looking at building it, they're stacked. And like, this is how you do it. It's class on top of class. Now, the transfer portal here is going to be fascinating. Like, they have to nail the transfer portal. They have to nail it across.
The biggest one of his career.
Next year, Sharon Moore, for better or for worse, fair or unfair, is coaching for his job. He is.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
It's year 3. He is. It's just the expectation. If this team wins 9 games again next year, that may not be enough to save his job, depending on how the losses look. I sent this stat to you guys earlier this season, and I updated it. Here are the losses by more than 2 possessions, 17 or more by a Michigan head coach since 1969. Bo has 3. Gary Moeller had 2. Lloyd Carr had 3. Rich Rod had 11. Brady Hoke had 5. Jim Harbaugh had 9. Sharon Moore already has 4.
Oh, you're right behind the Brady Hoke.
One behind Hoke
of the world.
And this is only year 2.
That is not the company you want to be in that category. That is a good statistic. And yeah, he's absolutely coaching for his job next year. And it starts with the transfer portal. It is the most important transfer portal of his life. You have got to go in there, and he has missed. Like the fact that you couldn't rely on either of those transfer guards that we brought in, the fact that Payne and Williams ended up just being like rotational guys. There was some hits, obviously. Justice Haynes, McCulley. There's some really good stuff in there. He doesn't probably get credit for Houseman and Barham.
No.
But
Barham, yeah. Barham, yeah.
Yeah. He can get credit for that one.
That's your boy now.
But yeah, my boy, please. Miss him like I miss a hemorrhoid. Yeah, so it is. It's a massive, massive transfer portal. It is a massive season with a far more difficult schedule. I think you hit the nail on the head. It'll depend on how the 9-3 comes to determine if that's good enough. It's a more difficult schedule next year than this year. So having next year be the year that you gotta have, I don't know, man. I don't know. So you've got to make dramatic improvements this offseason. It starts with the transfer portal, and then it continues with internal development of this incredible roster that you've built through recruiting. Like, that is the positive. And another positive, you should bring back the majority of this offensive line. This should be a good offensive line again.
It should be a very good offensive line. Andrew Babalola should step into one of the positions as well. And if he was going to start as a true freshman, that spoke to how talented he is. Defensive line, we'll see. That's where I think this conversation is really, it begins there this offseason. Like, it
Yeah,
begins there, and it begins with staff evaluations. Like, is this the coaching staff that's going to get it done? Like, one of Harbaugh's biggest flaws early in his career was sticking to guys he should have stuck to. Like, gave him such a long runway and kind of died by like the fact that Don Brown was still coaching in 2020 at this team with this team is insane. To think about like what you'd seen 2 years in a row with Ohio State and just the 2019 season in general. So we'll see if he has that kind of escalating commitment. And also the Big Ten's not getting any easier. The Big Ten got better
sure
this
isn't.
offseason with coaches. We talked about it at the top. UCLA got better with a coach. Michigan State got vastly better with its coach. If Sataki ends up at Penn State, they got better with a
That's
coach.
better.
So the Big Ten's
Yeah.
not slowing down.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just can't rest on your laurels and be like, "Well, I beat Ohio State, you know, remember that when like
It's gone
no.
now.
We people forget. People forget. We move on. It's what have you done for me lately for better or for worse? And we're not going to sit through it again next year. If it's 9-3 with a loss to Ohio State next year and he didn't make moves with the coaching staff, he's like, "No, we'll just mostly run it back." You know, Wink Martindale has earned the right to make his decision on what he wants to do for this team. I completely think. And I just think he probably wants to be in
Mhm.
the NFL. We'll see there. I think Chip Lindsey has earned the right. I like Chip Lindsey. Didn't like Chip Lindsey against Ohio State necessarily, but how much of that was coming down from Sharon
Yeah,
Moore?
it's all
Outside of
yeah.
that, I'm not really married to anyone. I think Newsome really improved. I would roll back with Newsome because I was starting to see some stuff at offensive
I like
line
Tony
that I
Alford
liked.
too.
Yeah, you know, Lamar Morgan, like there's some guys that I like. I like Alford, but outside of that, JB Brown gone, you know. Ron Bellamy, we'll see. You know, there's other guys. Lou Esposito, fair to question him if he's getting the most out of these guys there. He's got to go take a hard look at the staff, a very hard look at the roster. Like if he doesn't make any moves in the transfer portal, this defensive line is going to suck next year. Like if
Yeah.
it would be terrible with no transfers. It would just be bad.
Yeah, defensive tackle immediately, edge rusher immediately. Like those have to be a 1B you're going after. Like that starts
Yes.
from the trenches. We saw what kind of difference that makes. It's going to be fascinating to keep an eye on. But the rumor is they're also targeting receivers as well, obviously to pair with Marsh and
Need
pair
that.
with Underwood. I just don't want them to lose sight of the trenches. We have to address defensive
Yeah.
line first.
Yes, first and foremost, or else none of this
Nope.
matters, or else we're just going to be getting cut apart by Oklahoma and Ohio State next year. And yeah, I mean, just the Big Ten schedule gets more difficult next year as well. This was kind of the year to do what they did and credit where credit is due, beat the teams you're supposed to beat with a young team in preparation for 2026 and 2027. But we can't have another building year next year. You got this year. This was
This
your
was the build
building
year.
year. We're not doing that again next year, brother. Like we need to compete next year. I'm not saying you have to make the playoffs to keep your job. We need to be in the running for it. And the stat that you gave is the telling one, man. You need to start beating teams that are on your level or better than
Yeah,
you.
or at least make the games competitive. Like that has to be
Yeah.
because that was what was with Harbaugh like in 2016. You lose to Iowa, you lose to Ohio State in double overtime. Like it sucks. The games are competitive. Like even all like a lot of losses throughout his career were like tight games. You're on the wrong side of it. Okay. It's like when the blowouts happen and you're not even close in these, like where it doesn't come down to a play or a mistake or just one thing here and there, it's hard to defend because that means it's becoming systematic, and that's something that's alarming.
Yeah. So, couple more positives here. Let me ask you this question before I say if this is a positive or not. Does Bryce Underwood need to take a massive leap in order for this team to take a leap next year? Or does he just need to be better and then we improve around him?
He's going to be better. Like, case in point, Dante Moore. Look at Dante Moore at UCLA in year one. He was horrible. He was worse than Bryce ever was. And then 2 years later, comes out and is going to be one of the best quarterbacks drafted whenever he comes out. You're just going to take that step. I think he's not going to take a massive leap this offseason. Wouldn't surprise me if he does, but if he just takes a leap forward by himself, I think that tide is enough to raise all ships.
Yeah, it'll help. And the running back room, whether or not we keep Haynes, will be good. The offensive line will be
Yep.
good. Got to keep everyone in house, but assuming everyone comes back healthy, that's going to be a good offensive line. There's your building
Yep.
block. You got Andrew Marsh, got some tight ends in there. There's some guys like this should be an effective offense. I think the offense is going to be ahead of the defense just based on what we see now on
Yeah.
paper. We'll see what happens in the transfer portal. And then if you want to look for the positives on defense, you can bring back a lot of the linebacker room. You can bring back both of your cornerbacks. We'll see. We'll see about that. I'm hoping to get one of the two now. You've built some safety depth and then the recruiting class. Now, you don't want to rely on a bunch of freshmen and redshirt freshmen and stuff next year, but they've recruited well, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. There are names, but on the defensive side in particular, you're going to have to fill in and you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to be proactive about building this roster.
Yeah. I agree full send across that. Like, you have to address that defensive line, tackles, edges. I mean, we always talk about quarterback's most important position in sports. What position affects that the most? Edges and the defensive line. So you got to have that on the other side. Linebackers, you like what you're bringing back with them taking a step. You have good depth in that room. So no matter what, you feel good. If Jimmy Rolder can get the extra year, you bring back Cole Sullivan, you bring back Bowles, you bring back Owusu Boateng, Chase Taylor's back, Jaden Hood's probably back as well. He's been injured all year, kind of forgotten about, but another name for depth who played very well last season. So have that in the room, you feel good. And there's pieces here and there. You have Jaden Sanders, who played very well this season. So you can see it there. But the defensive line, Earls, the defensive line is where it has to start. You got to build the depth up there, and it's got to come through the portal. And it just can't be one or two guys. It has to be a handful.
No. And you got to hit on all of them too. So you need to go get the best guys available and hope that they hit. You got to replace your kicker and your punter. Fine with that. Although Dom Zavada, respect where it's due, brother. Thanks for all 9 points there. Hudson Hollenbeck had an 11-yard punt in this game, though. Not gonna cut it.
Was the full Hollenbeck. You know, you got like an 11-yarder, then you got like a 51-yarder. I was like, well, it's on track.
Yeah. Can I get 37 a punt and just get it consistently so I know what I'm getting? Can we split the difference?
When he hit the 11-yard one, I almost went up to grab my phone just to text you. Be like, I was so mad. I was like, that's going to do it. That's how you beat Ohio State. 11-yard punts.
11-yard punt. My mom was like, I think I could punt at 11 yards.
Could.
I was like, Mom, you could go out there with a leaf blower that was on half battery, flick that thing on and just let it roll, and you might get 11 yards. I was like, you could put a kid in a wheelchair out there with no legs and just have him kind of bump into the ball. You might get 11 yards.
Yeah,
atrocious.
Yeah, the wind was blowing enough. So, I mean, if he just gets enough steam rolling into it, I think it goes.
You got to get a good roll going before you hit the ball.
God.
Man, so I think we did our best trying to stay big picture and trying to stay upbeat about it. The sky is not falling, but changes need to be had, I think, is kind of to surmise what we were saying here. Changes need to be had. You need to take a long, hard look in the mirror because, you know, we were getting used to the halcyon days. I was really enjoying that whole beating Ohio State thing. Now, we've been through war times before. This is certainly nothing new, but I'm not interested in falling back into the depths. I'm not interested. We had climbed our way out of hell, and the sunshine was warm and bright, and I'm not interested in the depths again.
I mean, whether we like it or not, I mean, Sharon Moore is standing firmly on third base, and if he doesn't get closer to home next season, he's going to find himself out.
Yikes. That's a tough one. Anything else we need to touch on? Big picture, we'll obviously be, we're going back down to 1 a week now, you know, with Michigan out of the playoffs, and until there's anything that we need to report on that requires that we come back and go live, going back to 1 a week. We're going to give out grades next week. We're going to talk some of our favorite moments. Come February, we've got the awards podcast, always a ton of fun. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here with you through the good times and the bad. But anything else from you, brother?
No, man, we got recruiting, National Signing Day right around the corner to hit that. Transfer portal entries are already starting to flow in or just being quote unquote expected until it officially opens. So once transfer portal season opens up, Michigan gets that first defensive tackle, sun will come out again.
Sun will come out. I'm going to be refreshing that transfer portal list like the Ann Arbor Weather Channel 10 days before the game. Just like, who we got? Who we got? Yeah, absolutely, man. But you know, it was still a good season, not a great season. We'll try and contextualize it here and then in these following podcasts. Still a chance to get to 10 wins, like you said. That's not nothing. We'll see who we get in the bowl game. Should be knowing that pretty soon
Next
here.
week.
I've heard some rumors about Texas. Yeah, which that's a tough matchup for Michigan. We'll see who plays for Texas, but I think everyone for Michigan needs to play because there's no first rounders on this team. So excited to talk about the bowl game, excited to talk about the recruiting and the transfer portal and try and contextualize what we saw this season. It's always a pleasure, my friend. Make sure you like, share, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We appreciate all of you for listening this year. Thank you to producer Tony. I am Jared. That's Andy. This is Out of the Blue. We'd like to remind you that wherever you go, go blue.